On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt will go old school and actually riff on Star Wars news like it's 2022. He'll cover the new timeline for the Starfighter film, Ahsoka Season 2 set leaks, a rumored OT remaster project, and a touch-in with Rian Johnson. Of course, he'll end the show with Question of the Week responses and the latest round of top hot Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chili. Hey now, everybody. I realize I still have my Buckeye hoodie on. That is inappropriate wear for the show, so let me go ahead and get changed really quick, okay? Everyone hear me all right? We're not going to run into one of these issues where the audio sounds like ass the whole time, please? How we doing? We got that? We good? Sounding all right over here in my Buckeye gear. Yo, Kramer, hold on. Let me get this hoodie off before I start sweating too much. Time out, everyone. There's the bald head for you. Little stomach action for the ladies. All right. I'll tell you what. Just ain't the same without having Nick here. Well, hell, without having half the usual people here. It's I kind of had a feeling when we made the shift in programming that the show would die a slow death, and I think it's coming to fruition. Because and listen, I'm not shaming anybody. I don't know if I would watch my own show, but it does seem not having a regular weekly live has penalized us a bit. I haven't seen a lot of our regulars even show up these days, so. And again, I get it. I thank anyone that takes any amount of time to listen to my dumbass talk about Star Wars, which is fairly irrelevant at this point in time, considering no new content coming out. It hasn't been movies in over 6 years, so it's just, I don't know, it's just not the thing. It's just not the thing to sit around the campfire and talk about anymore, at least with us. So who knows? I really, again, these aren't threats. This is just me. I'm thinking live. It's a stream of conscious, not trying to guilt anyone, not trying to sound like I'm bitching and moaning, but I really am starting to question why, why do I feel the need to keep doing this? It's just, I don't know. I love it when it's fun. I hate it when it's not. And it's typically not fun most of the time. So the thing about, like grinding on something and putting effort into something and just doesn't ever change. The results don't change, right? They call that insanity, something like that. So, okay. That's enough bitching though. I know it's not what anyone wants to hear. It's like, wah, no one wants to watch Matt's Star Wars time anymore. What a loser. And I agree with you. So thank you to any commenters out there that want to remind me that I'm a loser. All right? Just want to get that off my chest. Okay, so today's kind of old school. If you're new here, I've only been listening the past, year or so. Nick and I kind of got away from what this show used to be. It really used to be a weekly talk show to break down Star Wars news, rumors, leaks, whatever. But because Star Wars content is mostly dead, we had Visions in October, but no one gave a shit about that. There really hasn't been much news to talk about. So we shifted away from that and started doing special topics, hot take this or top X list that, tier ranking this stuff. So today I'm kind of getting back to our roots. We're going to do a little news roundup because we're actually starting to get trickles of news for Starfighter, getting some updates for Ahsoka, Mando, and Grogu, some original trilogy remaster project that's leaking out there, Rian Johnson talking about fan negativity and how that may or may not have impacted his Star Wars trilogy. So, like I said, we're going old school, returning to the roots. getting down to some news breakdowns. But before that, we still have some of our tried and true segments like Ask Us Anything. I'm going to review a couple films real quickly during our pop culture talk segment, and then we'll get into the Star Wars talk. And obviously, we will wrap with the fan segment. So if there's anyone left here still watching, good for you. Hey, there's League. It's nice to see another friend in here. League, I was just lamenting the fact that I'm pretty sure the SWTS is DOA these days. DOA. Hasn't really been much interest since Nick and I had to kind of split things and change the format. So here we are. 2026 could bring more changes. You never know. But I'm starting to think I should find other things in life to use my free time on that might bring me a bit more joy and possibly a little more clout and cash, if you know what I mean. But still here, still trying. It's just getting rough because, I don't know, it just feels like we're dead. More dead than we've ever been. Not that we've ever been big, but you see channels like Beyond just keep blowing up, and good for them. And it's hard to kind of sit there and see our failure just right in front of my face. So to the two of you out there watching this live, I speak your name. I love you and I appreciate you. None of this negativity is directed at any of the fans. Like I said earlier, you guys are amazing for sticking with this show, watching it even if it's recorded. I'm going through some shit. I'll just lay it out there. Not feeling great about myself. Not a lot of self-love and kind of doubting why the hell I continue to dedicate a significant time to this stuff. Okay, so just having a moment. No big deal. All right, let's go ahead and kind of shift things up here. We don't want any of that negative shit anymore, even though I said we were going to stop the negative shit 5 minutes ago. But let's go ahead and do a little Ask Us Anything. There were a few questions. I held on to a couple for next week just in case Nick and I do a pre-record, which we're thinking about doing. So we'll record on Monday and then release on the holiday Wednesday, so Thanksgiving Eve. Hopefully going to have a pre-record show out there for you, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. Yeah, I get you, League. League just kind of commenting on the fact that the strangeness of the YouTube algorithm and how it tends to favor the negativity. But hey, here we are. That's right. You and Kramer, League, like I said, we speak your name. All right, let's do a little Ask Us Anything. Like I said, let me go ahead and get the questions popped up here. Knowing my tech setup, I'm sure it's not going to work, but I am going to hit some buttons just in case. There's my number one wine drinker coming up in here. He'll put me in my place. He knows I'm being a little bitch, but it is what it is, if you know what I mean. All right, so let's get into this Ask Us Anything stuff. We do it every week, or as best as we can, when people actually submit questions. That's what I mean. We don't even get replies to this stuff where people can kind of hear their questions or see their question or weak responses. But there are a few of you still submitting questions, so I appreciate you. So let's go ahead and start with this one coming in from Scion XTC. What's something from the SW universe you'd want in reality? Tech, creatures, force? I mean, without putting a lot of thought on this one, it's pretty easy. I would love a lightsaber, first and foremost. I think any Star Wars fan, especially of the male variety, probably wants a lightsaber. Okay, I think that'd be fantastic. I love to walk around town with it, chop stuff up. You know, if someone's bothering me, hold it up to them and hit the button and see where it pokes them. So yeah, it would definitely be a lightsaber. And then after that, I would love to have, FTL, hyperspace. Hell, even a starship, an X-Wing, just so I can travel around the world in the snap of a finger. And if I wanted to, maybe head out to space, see what that's like, look at our flat Earth and all the aliens scanning it at all times. So, Cyan, if you will allow me, I would take a lightsaber in the cockpit of an X-Wing starfighter. You know what I mean? So that's what I would take for something from the Star Wars universe in our own. All right, Bango is saying Kramer wants a speeder bike. Kramer's in the live stream chat here. If you want to join the live stream chat, we'd love you. Obviously, I need the attention, especially today, because I'm a little I'm mad, yeah, I'm sad, meh. But Kramer wants a speeder bike. That would work too. It's got to be better than driving a fossil fuel or even an electric car. I'd assume that goes faster and has better get up and go than even a Tesla. So I would do speeder bike. I'm all about that. I like that one. So there we go. Speeder bikes, starships, lightsabers. Hell, let's do some blasters too. It'd be nice to have something with unlimited ammunition as long as you don't, spray it too fast and overheat it. All right, Bango, lay it on me. I mean, listen, like I said, it's a small group today, so we can do community show recommendations if you would like. Go ahead. Patriot on Amazon, 2 season. Okay. All right. I know we got people asking about Fallout. I don't even know anymore. Like I mean, I haven't done the show with Nick in close to a month at this point in time. And the last time we did it, I fucking muted myself, so we had to scrap the show. So I'm a big idiot. All right, next question here coming from Baron's Black Series. What's a time where you thought you messed your kid up? Honestly, Baron, welcome to parenthood. It's pretty much at least once a week. And I don't have to find a time where I thought I messed my kid up. I can pinpoint to a time where I definitely messed my kid up. And it's the way I used to react to her having accidental slips and spills as a young child. I'm talking, 1, 2, 3, tiny stuff. I'd be downstairs working. I'd hear her run around upstairs, then the fall, then the loud, oh, cry that parents are used to. And instead of running up and showing compassion and empathy, I'd be like, what's going on here? How could you do that? You got to be careful. Like an absolute fucking lunatic freak. Grade A parenting tactic learned from my father himself. A fantastic dad that no one should take fatherly lessons from. But I did, because that's all I knew. So I was like, hey, if kids fuck around and get hurt, instead of caring for them and showing that you love them, yell at them and make them feel like an idiot for having an accident. And the reason why, Baron, I'll tell you that I know that it's messed her up, because to this day, she's now 9 years old, and I'm getting emotional even thinking about it because it fucking wrecks me. To this day, if she gets hurt, she will run away from me. Run away. I'm not that monster right now, or hopefully ever again, but she'll run away. Be like, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this guy. This guy scares the shit out of me when I get hurt and I need someone. So yeah, that is not fun. That is not fun. So, Baron, I think you're going to be all right. Spencer, you're going to be fine with the little guy, B-Jam. Feeling a little too empathetic, and while he was watching Home Alone, and he didn't like the let's be real, they're torture scenes at the end when Kevin's booby traps start hitting Marv and them. So I think you'll be okay. As long as you listen to my words of wisdom, don't parent like a baby boomer or the generations beyond them. That's the best advice I can give you. All right. Bango, this is going to be a dark show. I don't know what to tell you, people. I had a life event happen a bit earlier today, and I was hoping to be recovered by now, but clearly that's not the case. And it doesn't help that I don't have my man, young Nick, in the co-pilot seat to kind of redirect my thoughts and try to shape things into a more positive note. That's just not where I'm at right now. Like I am in a state of, I just want to feel fucking pain, sadness, and anger. Okay? You can call me Darth fucking Vader if you would like to. I am Anakin right now, or fallen Anakin, Lord Vader, if you will. All right? So up next, we got Kramer here. Kramer, he's always going to hit the sports questions, which I do dig. I'm a huge sports fan. And that's one thing I want to talk about, because I don't like this in the sports community and the geek nerd community. Geek nerds, can we stop acting like sports is something you have no clue about? You know, when you ask someone, "Hey, did you watch a football game?" And you're like, "Oh, what do you mean, the base football where they hit the ball and kick field goals?" It's like, come on. Just know that sports fans are just as big fanatics, nerds, geeks about sports as you nerds and geeks are about your Star Wars, your Lord of the Rings, and shit like that. So quit pretending that just because you're a nerd, a geek, or an outcast that you don't know sports. And on the other hand, sports fans out there, quit poking at geeks and nerds that like to go to conventions or dress up in cosplay, or like me, spend, and I just looked at this total, it makes me fucking sick, spend $5,300 a year on hot toys to commemorate their passions for whatever fictional universe they are in love with. Okay? Can we be friends, sports fans, geeks and nerds? All right? We're all the same. I happen to have my toe dipped in both ponds, so I am a fanatic sports fan and a fanatic Star Wars, fantasy, sci-fi type of freak. You know what I mean? Yeah, thanks, Bango. I love it too. When I look at those, the $5,300, I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? I mean, $5,300. I could buy the new one-wheel fucking bike that they just announced today. It's so radical. It looks like a 1970 motorbike. Okay, it's got like the parallelogram chassis, the one-wheel technology. I could buy that easy if I stopped buying these fucking Star Wars Barbies. You know what I mean? All right. So, Bango, if I ever total my library, I might die. All right. At least other people are blowing their wad on stuff. In the end, it does make me happy. It doesn't make me happy when I look at the total. I should have never looked at this. I use the Apple Card for almost everything because good cash back, this, that, and the other thing. But you can, instead of just looking at categories of expenses, you can actually show the retailer. And when I clicked on that, fucking Sideshow in the household is the number 2 retailer that we blow money on. And the only reason Best Buy is number 1 is because we're doing a kitchen remodel, and I had to buy a new fridge, a new oven, mic, and a new stovetop. So that's it. The Haywood household's largest retail expense a year is Sideshow Collectibles for Daddy's hot toys. Okay? So yeah, I feel a little guilty, but oh well. I guess that's what happens when we have shared bank accounts and both mom and dad work jobs that pay decently. Okay. All right, Max. Sorry. Let's get to Kramer's question here. He got me on a tangent with football stuff here. Thoughts on Antonio Brown's downfall and on Aaron Rodgers' hand injury. And let's start with Antonio Brown. You know, being a lifelong Steelers fan, I can tell you 100% this dude has active CTE. I believe in the theory that he got it on that Vontaze Burfict hit many years ago where it looked like he was murdered on the field, because AB has not been the same since that hit. I think we can blame some of it on Tomlin and the Steelers giving him the big deal and Tomlin really never regulating divas. But the fall of Antonio Brown is just one of those things, and you're like, why, man? You had it all. The big money, you're a fantastic athlete. You probably would have broke wide receiver records, and you know now he's being extradited for murder charges or attempted murder, allegedly. So it's sad to see, but you wish people in his life would help him out. Because clearly the things he's doing, he either doesn't know he's doing because his brain is so scrambled and he has legitimate CTE, or he's just been enabled for so long that he's kind of uncontrollable. Yeah, Bango asking, what is it with wide receivers being divas? I mean, listen, it's a sexy position. They always have been. You go back to the Dallas teams. You got Irvin. I mean, it's just how it is. Even Rice, I'd say Rice was the least diva-ish of the greatest wide receivers, but those dudes, I mean, they get wrecked. I don't know what's worse, being a running back or a wide receiver getting blindsided as you jump up for a pass. So, but I do credit a lot of AB stuff to brain damage, 100%. Brain damage. Now, as far as Aaron Rodgers goes, it's like, so what? I mean, I don't think he's going to play again at this point in time. I know Cincinnati sucks and they looked like shit last week, but I felt like Mason Rudolph actually ran the offense better than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron has not looked good 2 games in a row now. He's definitely looking like an old man. He looks uninterested. He's yelling after every missed pass. I don't know if he's yelling at himself. Knowing him, probably not. He's probably screaming at other people because we all know Aaron Rodgers likes to point fingers. So if Aaron's gone, big deal. I still want more losses at this point in time. I can tell you right now, this Steelers team is fake. They're not going to win the division. Ravens will end up taking it in the end. And if the Steelers still somehow squeak into the playoffs, they're going to get blown out just like they have for the past 3 years. So more losses, the better. So next up here, thoughts about James Franklin going to VTech. You know, I mean, we all knew Franklin would get hired again. I'm surprised he did it so soon. I probably would have wanted to take a year or 2 off because you got to remember, he would have kept getting paid from Penn State. I think taking this new job means he's not going to get as much payment from Penn State, but who knows? So I could care less. It's probably a better conference for Franklin, the ACC. It's not as high profile as the Big Ten these days, so good for him. But in the end, fuck these guys. I mean, they make bazillions of dollars to coach college football, so I don't like them. I don't care. You know what I mean? And last but not least, Kramer's asking, are you and Nick going to cover Fallout when that comes out in December? Kramer, as much as I'd like to, it's probably going to be a no. I just, with the new show format and it being bi-weekly, I don't know how we would keep that up. I know I'm not going to convince Nick to come back to Wednesdays to do it live, and I don't know if I really feel like doing a pre-recorded one on a Monday and then a live one on a Wednesday, or just doing all pre-records on Monday. So I'm not ruling it out in total, but I don't know. I don't see it happening, especially you got to consider it's releasing over the holidays, so we're going to be taking time off anyways. So it's like, what's the point of even ramping up a Fallout type of special run like we did for Alien Earth? So sorry to disappoint. Not saying no, but it's probably a no. Okay, last question of the week here. Again, if you want to get involved, just check our socials on Instagram. We got an open link to Discord. Hell, all our social links are in this video. Just go look down the description and do what you got to do. We put the prompt for Ask Us Anything usually out on Monday. Try to do it again on Tuesday, potentially Wednesday. Okay, this one's coming from Nova Toymation. If they made a new holiday special, what stories would you want to be told in it? Well, I'd honestly like them to give the Wookiees another chance. Let's redo the holiday special, set on Kashyyyk, bring in Chewbacca, get their their red ponchos and all that fun stuff. But when I was thinking about this question just now, I actually think framing a holiday special around the Skeleton Crew, kind of picking up after the end of season 1 and focusing on Life Day with them, I think that would be pretty cool, because they're young kids, preteens or whatever. We know Acto now. We know that it was kind of sequestered for all these years, but now it's opened up to the New Republic. So I think you could tell some fun little anecdotes in a holiday special, kind of framed around Skeleton Crew. I think that would be pretty fantastic. All right. So we got Bango in there commiserating about the Gents. The Giants are hurt all over, firing coaches left and right, but they're just an organization that's a disaster. So I think the Steelers, they kind of put out that they're not a disaster because Mike is good at 500 seasons. But listen, I mean, they haven't won a playoff in 10 years. So what the hell are the Steelers either? Who cares if they can beat Cleveland a few times a year, or Cincinnati a few times a year, and end up going, fucking 9-8 or whatever they do? I mean, who gives a shit? Kramer asking me, do I play Warhammer? Yeah, I just played the most recent one that came out like a year or two ago. Played it on PS5. I don't play like the board game and paint pieces and all that type of stuff. All right, holy shit, it's already 6:30. I just spent a bunch of time on Ask Us Anything, so sorry if that was a lame segment. I cannot judge anything today because, like I said, I am not operating with a clear mind. Got a lot of darkness brewing in the soul right now, if you know what I mean. Today'd be a good day to drink on a Wednesday, although I don't drink during the week unless it's Friday nights, so it's not going to happen. All right, well, there you go. That's Ask Us Anything. So let's go ahead and shift over and talk a little bit about the some pop culture things that I've come across lately that I haven't had a chance to discuss with all you lovely people over here on the SWTS. So spare me here. Do a little quick review. These haven't fully gone away. But I know it's been a couple weeks, and hopefully everyone has had a chance to see it. But if you have not, here's your push. Here's your nudge to just go do it. But Predator Badlands is awesome. It's one of the best movies of the year if you're into this type of fiction, science fiction, fantasy fiction. It's absolutely amazing. So much so that I'm already considering, and this will be funny after I just bitched about my Sideshow Collectibles bill, but I'm considering the Deck and Thea hot toy combo. I love Deck, which is weird to say about a Predator because they've never been the hero character in a film. They've always been the antagonist, but in Badlands, Deck is a protagonist. And I dig his story. I mean, this movie is fantastic from start to finish. There is a little bit of cheese here and there, but it's easily forgivable by all the other excellent stuff. It looks great, sounds great, killer action, a fantastic kind of, I don't want to call it a coming of age story, but Deck definitely has a complete journey. There is character growth oozing out of Deck by the end. And that's really what makes it such a fantastic film. I've seen it twice. I'd probably go see it again if we weren't going into the holiday season of films. So I'm all about Badlands. Definitely go check it out before it leaves theaters. All right, the next one, and this one is relatively new. The Running Man. I get, what do you want to call it? The reboot, the remake. The one that's actually closer to Stephen King's book, I don't know. I've never read the book. I've only seen the Schwarzenegger Running Man. And I can tell you the one starring Glenn Powell isn't even remotely close to the Schwarzenegger one. It's still a game show where these people sign up to essentially run and make money while people hunt them down. But it's not in this like enclosed arena, and yeah, the goons are still there, but they're not all fantastical with, spikes coming off their bodies and electric suits and all that jazz you got in the Schwarzenegger version. While this new Running Man absolutely bombed at the box office, it didn't even beat the Now You See Me sequel, which is odd. Because, I thought by this time Glenn Powell had star power. Not Tom Cruise star power, but enough. He's good. I like Glenn Powell. I'll tell you what, ladies, there's a scene in The Running Man where he's shirtless in a towel for a good couple of minutes. And being the hetero male that I am, but someone that can appreciate a male that puts time, and in this case probably Hollywood steroids into their body, dude got into some pretty damn good shape. I would say even ladies that might prefer other ladies would still look at Glenn and go, wow, that's what a man should look like. But I'll tell you what, this Running Man, I dig it. It's actually a really good freaking movie, which is surprising that it did not do so well at the box office. But it's a good flick. It's a little long. It's over 2 hours, but it's just, it keeps you engaged the whole time. There's good action, there's good violence. You kind of watch this character that Glenn plays just go through this shit, and again, there's growth there by the end. And it's just I think it's a wider take on the King novel. You really get to see what the Running Man is about and society and why they have games like this for people and how literally the entire society gets involved. I mean, they got people where, you know, if you snap someone on your smartphone, you'll get paid cash so the goons can find them faster. So don't look at the box office numbers for the Running Man. Be like, yeah, it probably sucked. It doesn't. It's actually a really good flick. And League, I highly encourage you. I know you live in NYC, so it's probably a big pain in the ass to get out. But man, going to the theater is still one of the greatest things you can do as a human, at least for me. I mean, I would say at this point in time, in fact, with confidence, I can say going to the movies is probably my number one favorite thing to do. That's over gaming, over reading, over Star Wars content creation, over toy photography. There's just something about rolling into a theater, getting into a comfy recliner, tipping it back for an hour or two, and just disappearing into the film you are watching. So that's where I'm at. Get out there and go see some flicks. Oh, League saying Pal does nothing for her as an actor. Tom Cruise is the Running Man. Oh, come on. Come on. Glenn's he's a good dude. I like him. I do like Glenn Powell. I get he's been around forever. I guess he was kind of like a background actor in, what was it, the last Dark Knight movie where Bane like smashes his head off a desk or something and actually did it, like Hardy actually smashed Powell's head. And he's been in a few other movies where you'd be like, no shit, that he was in there and that was him. It just goes to show you sometimes if you're not some big megastar, slowly it can happen. I'm guessing Top Gun Maverick is what might have pushed Powell into the limelight. I know Cruise is pushing for him to be a leading man, if you will. All right. Hold on a second. Just got to communicate with the wife right here. Got a TV coming in, and she's saying she's gonna leave it outside. I'm like, it's a little cold. All right, just telling her, try to get it in if you can. So I say go see The Running Man, definitely in theaters. All right, so let's go ahead and shift over into the Star Wars news breakdown. There's all sorts of shit to talk about. We've got insights into the Starfighter movie's timeline, so I can kind of let you know, is it a sequel? Is it a prequel? Where does it live in the overarching Star Wars timeline? We also got some updates on this OT remaster rumor thing. What is it? I'll show you a clip, or at least I'll show you a still of a clip so we don't get arrested. We've got Ahsoka Season 2 set picks. We got to touch in with Rian Johnson on all the negative fan reaction that man went through and if it had any impact or bearing on his Star Wars trilogy that he was supposed to do. There's some Mando and Grogu news to talk about coming from Empire. So like I said, plenty of news to riff on, so let's get to it, starting with the Starfighter stuff, because quite frankly, at this point in time, even more so than Mando and Grogu, because, you know, we know it's out there, we know it's coming, we've seen a trailer. I am, as a Star Wars fan, probably most excited for Starfighter. All right, if you're not familiar with this one, remember, Starfighter is the project by Sean Levy. It's starring Ryan Gosling, Mia Goth, what's his name? That Matt guy's in there. It's got. I'll try to find the cast for you. But, you know, we've seen some set pics. We saw a pic of Gosling and this younger kid actor. We don't know, is Gosling the kid's parent, or is he someone that was hired to watch over the kid? What are they? Is Gosling just a starfighter, or is there more to it? Does he have the Force? Does he know Force people? We really don't know much outside of who's in it and when it's coming out. I can also tell you, and I'll just handle this now, but Sean Levy at the Stranger Things 5 premiere let loose that they are halfway done with filming. So yes, Starfighter is legit. It's gonna happen. They've put moving images on film and they're halfway done. So that's a good sign. That means this thing is going to see the light of day, and it should be coming out May of 27. But recently we did get some updates, some insights into Starfighter, at least its timeline placement, you know, where it's going to end up, if it's going to be a sequel, if it's going to be a prequel. All right, so let me go ahead and divulge this information to you. So, you know, he was talking with, who is this, Collider here, doing an interview with Steve Weintraub, who, you know, basically, he's a fairly famous, geeky writer out there that still gets access to the big names. So anyways, he's talking to Sean, who was out promoting Stranger Things, and you know, Levy kind of got down and honest with him about where Starfighter fits into the franchise. So here's what Sean had to say. Well, for one thing, it is different in that it is an all new, non-sequel, non-prequel adventure. It's new characters. It's a new timeline. It inherits legacy themes, but it's really trying to give Star Wars fans and just movie audiences something fresh, something new, and with a spirit of play and big-hearted adventure with moments of real levity that, frankly, A New Hope had in a revolutionary way. All right, that's pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting to think about. It's an all-new, non-sequel, non-prequel adventure. It's new characters. It's a new timeline. What does that mean? I don't think it means it's like some alt timeline, or at least I hope it is not. By new timeline, it could be far future, like hundreds of years beyond the sequels, right? It would have to be. If we're saying a new timeline, and people, if you're in the live stream, give me something to riff on here, because this is where I need Nick, and I miss having him. But if we're saying it's a new timeline, non-sequel, non-prequel, how many years beyond the sequels does it have to be considered a new timeline? Same thing with the prequel era. How many years prior to the prequels for it to be considered a new timeline era? Hold on one sec. Is there any chance we could watch that in the other room tonight? Charlie? That is loud as fuck. And I'm in the middle of a live show. Thank you. Jesus Christ. See? I told you it's that type of day for me, friends. It's when it rains, it pours in Matland. Sorry, that kind of knocked me off my game. I'm sitting here trying to talk live, and I hear an episode of The Simpsons blaring in my head. So I apologize for that break in the action. All right. I'm sorry. I'm about ready to just stop this fucking show at this point. Like, why am I even doing this shit? It's stupid. Now I'm off my game. I'm off track. I just want to delete this shit and go sit in the corner that I wanted to sit in for the past 4 hours. All right, let me try to get back on track here. So, yeah, Bango is saying like 100 years post-sequel. Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking it's got to be at least 50 to 100 probably more preferred, because if we think about it, the sequel trilogy, at least the beginning of TFA, was around 38 to 39 years post the original trilogy. So if that quantifies as a sequel trilogy, we got to go even beyond multiple decades. So yeah, I think 100 years would do it. So is it going to be 100 years or beyond in the future, 100 years or beyond in the past? I'm guessing in the future. But it's weird. I really do not want any sort of alt timeline stuff. Okay, leave that for Marvel. Leave it for the World Between Worlds. Even World Between Worlds, it's like I believe they're still on the same timeline. They can just move throughout it. So let me check on the live streamers here. League saying it could mean that it has nothing to do with canon Star Wars. Well, Very much so, League. All he says is it inherits legacy themes. So, that's probably just Force, good guys, bad guys, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it could very well skip over anything that's canon, not even reference it or casually reference it in like side conversations or stuff like that. So I don't know. I dig it. I like hearing that we got a movie that is is definitely not going to be directly tied down to anything that came before or after it. It sounds like Sean is created something. It's allowed to be its own thing. It truly could be a standalone. It's truly for all fans of movies, not just Star Wars fans. You can go to Starfighter without being a Matt, without being a super fucking nerd dork, and knowing more than one person should know about a fake science fiction fantasy franchise. So I dig it. And I've been kind of bullseyeing or circling this movie ever since it was announced because of the people involved. Sean Levy and then Ryan Gosling. I think that's a good combo. Everything Sean's put out, I've dug, so I'm not expecting anything less for Starfighter. Bango throwing stuff out there, like Cade Skywalker kind of stuff. Who knows? I think the one thing we can say for sure is that there's not going to be anything in it that has existed before outside of general themes, light and dark, the Force, good versus bad. I think that's what they may stick to. And if it is far in the future, I still would like some callbacks. Like, oh, can you remember, 2 centuries ago when the fabled Skywalkers did this? How come we don't have any Skywalkers now? Or what even is a Skywalker? That type of stuff. So super excited here. Let's see if he had anything else to say about the movie. All right, so here's a little bit more from Sean. We're really trying to sort of take the tone as a North Star every day. My crew, my DP, Claudio Miranda, Gosling is my kind of central collaborator in the lead role. It's certainly been a dream come true. My 10-year-old self is on set with me every day. In fact, he's going to catch a flight tonight to go back to the set and keep shooting on Monday. But it's a huge, invigorating opportunity because Lucasfilm has been so encouraging of me doing something new. There's no pressure to be derivative or limited by an obligation to what came before. There's just a love of what came before. So fans, I think that kind of seals the deal. I think League is kind of on to something here where this is going to be a completely brand new thing. He is not beholden to the Skywalker saga. He's not beholden to anything in the past. He's going to honor his love of what came before, and that probably has shaped what the movie's going to look like and whatnot. But it is not going to be handcuffed like a prequel trilogy or a sequel trilogy or a solo standalone, or even Mando and Grogu. Again, Mando and Grogu they're strapped in. They have to pay homage to what came before. Oh, someone get that cough button, motherfucker! And what came after. So I think that's exciting. So this one looks like it's still on track, shooting for May of 27. I'm sure I'll be on vacation when it comes out, just like I'm going to be on vacation this May when Mando and Grogu comes out. So it's just another sign from the universe and the Force itself that the old guy who screams at clouds should probably just give this shit up and just go back to being a fan. What do we think? Yay or nay? Bango, what we got here? LOL. He is carefully saying previous directors were pressured to be derivative and unoriginal. Yeah, I think that's kind of what he was saying. But, if you sign up for a sequel movie, you have to. If you sign up for a solo movie, you have to. If you sign up for Mando and Grogu, you have to. So I guess it's good to know that if you come to Lucasfilm with a good idea that has no ties to the Skywalker, stank, that they will listen to you. And if you got a good pitch, they'll give you the cash. You hear that, Adam Driver? Don't come to them with existing content that has to be beholden to existing canon. Okay, so that's that on Starfighter. We also know it's halfway done with principal photography, so that's a good sign. That means this thing will see the light of day at some point in time. Okay, so the other little news thing I want to touch on, especially since I am from the OT generation, unlike all you millennials and Gen Zers out there, us old guys, even though I'm at the very tail end. I mean, I'm like, I latch on to Gen X just by my hair, and I don't have any, so that goes to show you how loosely attached I am to Gen X, but I am a Gen Xer, and I love the OT. So this stuff's been popping up over on Star Wars Reddit. It might even showed up in our Discord. I can't remember, but there's a lot of leaks going on about an original trilogy remaster, an official remaster project from Lucasfilm. I've got a clip pulled up right now. I'm not going to play it just because we'll get canceled or some stuff. But if you can see it, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. But if this thing is real, the level of clarity that they are bringing to the original trilogy, in this case, we're looking at a still from A New Hope. It's when C-3PO is in that control room being confronted by the stormtroopers, and he's like, oh, hey, we're just cool. Nothing to see here. There's no people here trying to shut down tractor beams or fight Darth Vader. But if you look at it, it's so crispy looking. I'm talking like 8K type of crispy. Hell, let's just play it a little bit. Won't have any volume. Maybe that'll help. It just looks so smooth. You got to remember, this movie, this scene itself was probably shot on film in like 1975. All right? Maybe 74. If the movie came out in 77, there's no way this had to have been shot back in the mid-70s. So the technology, absolutely bunk. But the way it looks now, I mean, yeah, it still has the original trilogy visual vibes to it. It still feels like it's from the 70s. But in terms of the overall polish, it looks saucy. All right, I dig it. And in League, this is a great question. Same from Bango here. Can they release it without the Jabba Han Falcon scene? Yeah. League, which version of the remaster are we getting? Yes. And then even Mando Pirate, he's fell right in line. I'd love if they released all the OTs in their original form in theaters. Take my money, please. So I think what Mando Pirate's saying is, I don't know if you want to see it fully in its original form, because then we're talking like 480p or less, only stereo mix on film. It'd be grainy and blurry as fuck. I think what Mando, Bango, and League, what they're saying is, please, if we're doing a remaster, can we at least just remaster the non-special edition versions of the trilogy? And I'm with you. Sadly, if this is a real project, again, I don't know if this is real or not. If someone's just doing it on the internet, good for you. I do not believe this is like those Adiwan remakes that we talked about a year or so ago, and that are out there on the internet that are all kind of up-resed. This does sound, or at least it's being put forward as an official project. So if it is official, you know that they're going to do the dumb special edition shit. I mean, it's not even George who made special edition changes. You got to remember, when they showed up over on Disney, they're the ones that put in that dumbass McClunky shit with Greedo in A New Hope. So they've tinkered even further than George tinkered. So let's, fingers crossed, this is real. I mean, the original trilogy definitely needs a proper remaster at this point in time. But I would not hold my breath on it being a remaster of the original versions. It's probably going to be the special editions. Okay, so moving right down the chain here, going through recent Star Wars news, we've got some Ahsoka Season 2 setback leaks. Setback leaks! We love setbacks! We love leaks! Just not when they're in our pants. You know what I mean? All right, so if you're watching on the live stream, what we're looking at now are supposed set pick leaks from Ahsoka Season 2. And if you look at it, Bango, you don't know McClunky? Oh my God. Bango, you got some homework, dude. You need to fire up A New Hope, the one that's on Disney Plus, and go to the cantina scene, in particular, the now infamous Han and Greedo meeting. That's it. Just go do it. Have yourself a few pops of wine, pull it up, and don't blame me when you throw your wine glass at your TV, okay? Because it is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not making it up. McClunky is a real thing, okay? So I'll leave it at that. It's a little tease. Give yourself something to do after the show. All right, anyways, back to these set leaks here. So this is coming from Morai Messenger, so who the hell knows if it's real or not. But apparently these images we are looking at on the live stream are shots from the Dathomir set as used in Ahsoka Season 2. And I am inclined to believe that these are legit because, hey, what happened at the end of Ahsoka Season 1? Admiral Thrawn returns with a bunch of Nightsister coffins that we still don't know what's in there. Are they zombies? Are they fallen Nightsisters? They're going to be resurrected into zombies. But he went right to Dathomir. So clearly Thrawn is making Dathomir his port of call, if you will, possibly his home base now. And so that's why it makes sense that we're going to get to see Dathomir in live action for the first time. And if you look at the screenshots here, and if you remember what Dathomir looks like from the Jedi Survivor series, it's pretty clear to me that these are legitimate set picks from a live action Dathomir set that we will see in Ahsoka Season 2. It just makes too much sense that they're going to end up on Dathomir at some point in time. I don't know if it's going to be heroes going to Dathomir to investigate what the hell Thrawn and the Nightsisters are up to, or if we'll even see Thrawn setting up shop. Maybe he'll build himself a fortress, maybe take over a Nightsister fortress on Dathomir. But to me, it makes 100% sense that in Ahsoka Season 2, we are going to be spending some time on live-action Dathomir. So, according to this leaker here, the images are cropped because apparently there was other things that were kind of giving away the set that the leaker didn't want to release out of fear of getting their source caught. But apparently this set is on a huge sound stage. It has multiple levels for actors to move around, to climb, scale things. And as I said, there's a big resemblance to Jedi Fallen Order. So dead vines, roots, dirt up the walls, just kind of a red-orange hue to the world. And apparently, and again, I guess you could say these could be spoilers. So I guess if you don't want any spoilers, you might want to go no for a little bit. But who knows? It is a leak, and we're just speculating at this point in time. But the leaker here is saying in one sequence that's going to take place on this set on Dathomir, we're going to see Ezra, Hera, and Chopper exploring a dangerous cavern underneath the surface of Dathomir. And supposedly, Ezra is going to encounter something that wasn't physically on set, so it's probably like a CGI monster or going to be added in post, but there's going to be a fight scene, okay? So we could argue that these set picks could also be from Peridia. You know, we still don't know what Balin is getting into. If they're going to go to any sort of like tombs or catacombs, then yeah, sure, this could be there. But if they're telling us Ezra, Hera, and Chopper were filmed on the set, that to me cancels out Peridia, because I don't know how the hell they're going to get back there now that they've returned with Thrawn, unless they stole a ship or somehow convinced the Purrgil to take them again. They're not going back to Peridia. So I'm pretty confident in saying that what we're looking at here, if you're on the live stream, is Dathomir, live action Dathomir. So that's pretty cool. All right, what the live stream chatters having to say here? Mando, I think there will be zombie Nightsisters in a battle. I like zombie Nightsisters. I'm down with that. Give me that swarming New Republic soldiers. Yeah, listen, zombie Nightsisters, it's an existing thing. We saw it in the Clone Wars. It's in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, so they could definitely do it. It is still interesting to kind of see ultimately what Thrawn and the Night Mothers, whatever they were called, are doing with these caskets, these portable tombs. You know, you'd think, didn't they have enough magical juice to just resurrect them themselves? Why did they need Thrawn to bring them back to this galaxy? So interesting stuff there. Or it could just be people in like Nightsisters in stasis that wanted to go back to their Dathomir homeworld. Who knows? But it's always fun to speculate on set leaks, so glad to get one here. Okay, well, if Ahsoka is not your thing, what about Mr. Rian Johnson? Okay, watch out. Don't throw stuff at me. Don't throw stuff at me. I'm not a TLG hater. I do take a little bit of umbrage with how he handled Luke overall, but for the most part, I like the chances Rian Johnson took in TLJ, and I kind of wish some of them were honored in The Rise of Skywalker, because it wouldn't have made that movie so fucking dumb, vapid, and nothing but fan service. So, actually, before I get into this, I want to address League in the chat. I know she's just putting it out there for the live stream chatters to chew on, but I like this one. She's asking, do y'all, and she shouldn't use y'all because she's from New York, so it should be something different, okay? Sorry, I don't like Southern speak that much. Do y'all think Ahsoka dies? Will Filoni put her to rest? That's a good question. I mean, it is his baby, for sure. I understand that point. Dave will be the one to put a period on her story, 100%. I just don't know if that's going to come now in Ahsoka Season 2, or if they are going to try to kind of salvage her for the crossover movie that we still don't know if it's going to be made. So, I mean, that's very loose speculation. So I'll approach it this way. If that crossover film is not going to be a thing, which it was announced with the Rey movie, which sounds like it's not a thing, and the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi movie, which sounds like it's not a thing now. So the Filoni crossover movie is definitely in the not a thing category. So let's just run with that. So if we're just talking about Ahsoka Season 2 and that's all the time Dave's going to get to spend with his character, then yes, I think he will give her a fantastic, honorable, and earned death in Ahsoka Season 2. It just all comes down to what is Lucasfilm's future plans for Star Wars TV and Star Wars movies. Are they going to keep kicking the tires on the Mandoverse era? Do they want to start doing more crossovers, MCU style? Then he might choose to keep her around for a little bit. But if all that shit's drying up and they're trying to get back to just films and maybe a new series set in a different timeline, then yeah, why not take her out in Ahsoka Season 2? Obviously, unless they have a Season 3 plan, then you can't quite kill the titular character if you're going to do another season. But I do believe that Filoni will be the one to end Ahsoka's story, even though JJ kind of teased it in The Rise of Skywalker, including her as a voice coaching Rey there at the end. But Filoni is going to be the guy. It's very hard to kind of look in my prediction mirror or my little fountain of the future without really knowing the concrete plans of Star Wars moving forward. I mean, outside the Levi movie, Mando and Grogu, Ahsoka Season 2, Maul Shadow Lord, and the 9th Jedi series, that's all that's announced and legit. Everything else is up in the air, still being discussed. It's being kicked around, finding new writers, finding new directors. So, who knows? Yeah, sorry. There's Bango. A fucking men, Matt. Southern speak is the devil's work. Well, I'm going to get myself canceled, but hey, what else is new? You know what I mean? All right, let's get back to this Rian Johnson story. So there's an article over on the Sci-Fi Fantasy Gazette. With the title, Rian Johnson reveals whether negative fan response to The Last Jedi is why he didn't make Star Wars Trilogy. He didn't make the Star Wars Trilogy because Lucasfilm and their plans fucking imploded after TLJ and then Solo's box office flop. Ryan has no bearing on if he gets to make his trilogy or not. That's completely up to Lucasfilm. And besides, Ryan, after TLJ, started his own franchise that's getting a spinoff coming soon, I think, to Netflix or HBO Max. So Ryan's a dude, all right? Love him or hate him, he is a creator. He's a good writer. I think he's okay at directing, too. So anyways, someone got a hold of him somewhere and asked him some questions here. This was at the Newport Beach Film Festival. So someone asked him whether the fan reaction to The Last Jedi was responsible for him not making new Star Wars films. And here's what he said. No, not at all. In fact, it's the reason that I wanted to. My overall experience with putting the movie out and what you're talking about with fan feedback. I mean, first of all, I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. So I know the deal. I know that Star Wars fans are passionate about this stuff. We love the stuff we love, we hate the stuff we hate, and we fight about it. And that's been happening since the original trilogy. I was in college when the prequels came out. Are you kidding me? The prequel wars? We had a few. I mean, everybody did. And so the notion that Star Wars has been this kind of Shangri-La, united fandom, and that nothing could then split that apart is false. The reality is Star Wars has always been something that has meant different things to different people, and I think that's part of the fun and the passion of it as fans, is arguing about it respectfully. I've talked to so many people over the years since we made that movie who have such deep connections to Star Wars and who have deep connections to that movie. And so it's been the most positive experience I've ever had with anything I've made in terms of interacting with people who've seen it. I came out the other end of it loving Star Wars fandom more than I did even going into it. All right, people. First and foremost, those are the words of a very down-to-earth and well put-together human. If you think about the abuse that guy took in 2017 and beyond, and still to this day, approaching 8, 9, 10 years later, the fact that he is still that positive, or at least is able to put that mask on and still speak about what he went through in those terms, should be applauded. It just goes to show you how emotionally intelligent Rian Johnson is. He gets it. He understands Star Wars. He understands the nuts that watch this shit. And I think it was a fantastic response. And I do think it's truthful. And like I said, I in the end, it's not Rian Johnson who's going, I'm not making any more Star Wars movies. It's Lucasfilm saying, we're not making these. You're sadly, we love you, dude. We like what you did with TLJ, but you're kind of fan kryptonite. You know what I mean? And love it or hate it, we know Disney will make choices based on the fandom. We saw what they did with The Acolyte. Even though it was watched a ton in terms of minutes, it didn't matter. There was enough negative discourse that you're like, you know what? Fuck it. We're not even going to try for a season 2. So, listen, TLJ is not perfect. There is no perfect Star Wars movie outside of Return of the Jedi. But in the end, no human, him, his cast, none of them should have been treated the way they were treated. But the fact that Ryan can still look back on it and say it was the greatest experience of his career, and he came out feeling better than before about interacting with fans, just goes to show you that this dude is a dude. All right? Plain and simple. Plain and simple. I wish I could have... I could be this emotionally intelligent. Today's a day I really wish I had that type of intelligence. You know what I mean? All right. We got one more before we get into the fan segment here, people. We're wrapping things up. Sorry if this has been a boring, meandering show. That's what I mean. I can do it. You can wind me up and I can go for as many hours as you need. But for me personally, the enjoyment of riffing on ideas with my buddy Nick is missing. And it's just not quite as enjoyable. So I have a feeling that's coming across the airwaves as I broadcast today. All right. All right, Bango. Yeah, you're always going to get randomness when I'm driving the ship solo. That is for sure. It's a little bit of a therapy session today, if you will. All right. So last one, certainly not the least one, at least for now. It's the last one I'm going to talk about. But our good friend League of Extraordinary Sixers sent this over my way, and Empire's about to have their Mando and Grogu issue. I don't know if it's coming out in November or December, but there's a little tease in it here. I'll just riff on it a little bit. We get some quotes from Favreau here, just kind of talking about how in Mando and Grogu, Din Djarin has changed his priorities as he tackles his biggest mission yet. All right, so we know where we're at with Din and Din Grogu. By the end of season 3, these two are now bonded. He is his apprentice. He has taken him in. He's essentially family. Din is no longer a solo gunslinger. He teamed up with not only Grogu, but Bo-Katan to help her reclaim Mandalore. And now with his adopted son, he has, and again, we saw this at the end of season 3, he's looking to kind of use his services in a more positive manner than just bounty hunting. He wants to kind of help make things right in the galaxy. So he's going to start working with the New Republic. We knew that was coming. And that's what Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be about. It's going to be these two no longer solo bounty hunters. He's no longer looking for Grogu's kind. He's no longer, trying to help out Bo and Mandalore. They got their shit figured out. The weirdos have reunited with the traditional Mandalorians. So he's going to take his ward out, and they're going to try to do some righteousness in the galaxy. So they're going to team up with some former rebels on a Delphi base. That's that base we saw in season 3 where Zeb was at, and Carson Teva was hanging out at. I think Trapper Wolf was there. It definitely has the who's who of Star Wars New Republic pilots and brass. So anyways, here goes Favreau saying, the Mandalorian has changed his priorities. One of the last things we say in season 3 is like, I don't want to go out there and just be a hired gun. I want to work for the good guys. So, as it's been teased and hinted at, he's going to be getting this work from Sigourney Weaver's Colonel Ward, who is in the New Republic, and she is going to be Din's contact and the one dealing out whatever these not contracts, but jobs for the New Republic. And it sounds like from this interview or this article that Din and Grogu are going to be working hand in hand with Zeb Orrelios. All right. The big purple Lasat from Star Wars Rebels. He's a great character. What we saw of him in the trailer for Mando and Grogu looked fantastic. I think a lot of us, especially because he was ignored in the Ahsoka season 1 plot, are kind of clamoring to see live action Zeb do his thing. So it sounds like, and I'm guessing Colonel Ward is going to kind of attach Zeb to Din with the hey, nudge, nudge, keep an eye on him. I mean, I know he's saying he's working with us, but you never know with these Mandalorians. He was a bounty hunter before. He could change his allegiance at the drop of a credit. So it sounds like Zeb's going to be kind of not only going on missions with these two, but I think he's going to have his second mission of making sure they stay out of trouble and don't fuck things up too much for the New Republic. So, Favreau is promising, he's saying now we get to really have fun with him. And by him, he's talking about Zeb. And in fact, he goes on talking about Zeb. He's such a compelling character. Even if you've never seen Rebels, between the voice, the swagger, and the physical ability. So it is sounding through John that Zeb is going to be a main. And I think that's pretty fantastic. If you love Zeb, if you love the Star Wars Rebels, and if you were a little bent that Zeb he got fully ignored in Ahsoka Season 1, which made no sense. Ahsoka Season 1 was essentially Rebels Season 5, and one of the main characters was completely glossed over. Hell, Kanan, who is dead, got more screen time in Ahsoka Season 1 than Zeb because he was on a little picture that Hera had in her cockpit. You know what I mean? So like League's asking, why was he not in Ahsoka? I don't know. Maybe they were trying to save some money, so they shaved him out of the budget, because he does look like he's a full CG character. But it's weird. What does Mando Pirate have to say about this movie? Saying, I'm excited for this movie, but I wish it stayed a TV show. If it was a TV show, then it allowed Din to maybe hunt an ex-Imperial officer every episode. Yeah, Mando Pirate, I'm kind of with you. It is disappointing that The Mandalorian is seemingly has been ended as a TV series and has moved into films. You just can't tell as deep of as a narrative in a movie. You get, hour 45, 2.5 hours tops to tell a narrative on film, where a TV series, even if they're only clocking in at 30, 45 minutes an episode, you're still looking at 4 to 6 hours of content. So I'm assuming some of the narrative that's going to be used in this film was potentially initially for season 4. But as well as I do, they've probably had to cut things to make a movie's runtime. Now, I don't know if these things could ever be resurrected if the movie does well and they feel like doing a sequel, or maybe they do bring it back to TV. But I don't know. People listening, it just seems like a move that Lucasfilm is not going to do. I don't think they're going to send Mando and Grogu to the big screen and then bring them back to TV. So unfortunately, I think any continued adventures of these two, even after May of 26, is probably going to be big screen based. So there's that. Anyways, Favreau had a few more things to say. Kind of discussing how Din and Grogu are going to anchor the first Star Wars movie in over 7 years. And Favreau just kind of, he's like, listen, it's that central relationship as they go off and face adventure together. That's the underpinning of the film. Star Wars is always about progression and growth and characters evolving, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad. It's about apprenticeship. It's about one generation teaching the next. There's more growth that happens over the course of the film. So interesting. When he's saying characters evolve and grow, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad, I wonder if he's talking about any of our heroes. Could Grogu maybe go down a dark path? Could Din possibly be coaxed into doing something against his New Republic, mission tenets? I don't know. But it sounds like Favreau is promising that Mando and Grogu is going to give us the tropes that we love in a Star Wars movie. We are going to see character growth. We are going to see these characters evolving. We are going to see the apprenticeship that's been a major theme in all of the Star Wars films. I mean, hell, even back to the Solo movie with, Beckett and young Han. And again, there was an apprenticeship there. It is a standard Star Wars trope. So, listen, I'm excited for this film. It's been a while, almost 2 years since the end of Mandalorian Season 3. It'll be over 2 years by the time we get to see this in May. So I'm down. I love Din. I'm still a Grogu fan, even though Nick hates him and thinks he's a big dumb idiot because he hasn't spoken yet and he's got to be at least 55 years old now. But I'm a big Grogu fan, big time. All right, so that's that. So, Bango questioning Favreau, saying there's going to be character development in a Disney-era Star Wars movie. Well, just remember, Bango, it's not a part of a trilogy. So there is potential for character growth. I think we can argue that in the Solo movie, which was not part of a trilogy, there was some character growth. There was. All right. Okay, so that kind of takes care of this week's Star Wars news breakdown by the SWTS and my old dumbass. So let's close things out like we always do on the SWTS, be it live, be it pre-recorded. We're always going to dedicate a segment to our fans. There's 2 ways to get involved. You can do the question of the week. We'll put it out there. It's typically going to be themed around something we're discussing on the show, and then you got to respond to it, and we will read your responses. Then there is our bread and butter, or what used to be our bread and butter. No one gives a shit anymore, at least in the toy photography community. But we got our top 5 Star Wars fan artist features to truly end the episode. So let's go ahead and pop up some screens here, do a little button pressing. We'll click on that, we'll click on this, then we'll click on that, and then we'll click on this, and hey, here we are. All right, let me go ahead and get the question of the week put up. I do not have Nick here to read it for me. That's one of my favorite things. I love listening to Nick read. All right, here we go. Wrong screen. Where's the question of the week there? Idiot. I need a producer on this show. Okay, there we go. So the question is, are you more excited for Starfighter, Mando and Grogu, Ahsoka Season 2, or an OT remaster release? So I gave the fans plenty of options, and luckily no one really responded except for my lovely regulars. I appreciate you. Without the 2 or 3 of you, this segment, Ask Us Anything, would be dead, because no one really plays anymore unless you are hardcore in the SWTS universe. So, up first, Quick Pick Toys over on Instagram saying, anything close to the original saga, I'll be happy with it. Like they did for Rogue One, it was such a big surprise to me. So it sounds like Quick Pick Toys is leaning towards their excitement being pushed at the OT Remaster Leak. League of Extraordinary Sixers on IG saying, Star Wars all day long. Was that right, League? Was that supposed to how I was supposed to do it? Okay. So I think League's saying she doesn't give a shit what it is, as long as it starts with Star and ends with Wars, she's down. I applaud that. That is how I look at life, or at least my Star Wars life, League. Hey, look at this. 2797 Studios. Where the hell has Bat been? Bat's been gone for months. Someone make sure Bat's still alive. Anyways, Bat is saying, can't we be excited for them all? Excited for Mando, Clone Wars junkie in me, can't wait for Ahsoka Season 2. Always down for a rewatch of the classic, remastered or not, and am optimistically hopeful for new directions and stories with Starfighter. Well, 2797 Studios, as League just put forth, of course you can be excited for them all. I just like to give you guys gun-to-head type of choices, so you expand upon them, you know? If you just say, yeah, I'm excited for everything, there's no dialogue there. It's like a yes or no question. You know what I mean? So that's why I asked to try and pick one. But it's okay. If you want them all like League wants them all, that is perfectly acceptable. All right, then our last 2 responses. One here from Mando Pirate. Hey, Mando Pirate in the live stream. See how it goes, people. It's a symbiotic relationship. You watch the shows, you participate in the shows, you're featured on the shows. That's how we do it. So Mando Pirate is saying Starfighter because it's going to be completely new and not beholden to any previous canon. It's almost as if Mando read the article that I just talked about today. So good for you, Mando. All right, look at this, bango. Matt, your show tonight has inspired me to crank out some pages tonight. So it looks like my anger and my sadness and my pain is being used in a positive way for Bango. So I speak your name, my friend. I'm glad I could help you get motivated. I still want you to have a few glasses of wine because, as you always say, this is your Friday or whatever. So enjoy yourself and then write some sloppy entries into your novel as you are a little tooted up. Okay, and then closing out question week, our boy Kramer coming in with all of the above, but if I had to choose, Starfighter. Thank you, Kramer. We always appreciate your thoughts. All right, so that's it for question of the week. Like I said, if you want to get involved, or if you're new here and you're listening, you somehow found the show, even though it's buried by every algorithm on the planet, check the socials. We got them in here in the description of this video. Follow up, turn on notifications, and then reply away. All right, so let's actually fully close things out with this week's top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. We do this every week, depending on what type of show we're running. Either myself is going to pick the top 5. So if it's a live, that's me. If it's a pre-record, Nick will be picking the top 5. And you're probably saying, hey, how can we get involved? It's easy. This is all done through Instagram. Make sure you're following Star Wars Time Show over on IG. Use hashtag Star Wars Time Show. But more importantly, if you want to be included for top 5 consideration, make sure when you do a new post, you do the add tag feature at Star Wars Time Show. That is where we look to pick the top 5. All right. So without further ado, here is my first pick this week. All right. I love this shot because I love this character and I love this figure. So much so that I broke my rule and I bought a 1/12 scale figure this year because that's how much I dig the Stranger, aka Kamir from The Acolyte. So what we're looking at here is a great looking, just, kind of portrait shot from X-Wing Pilot 54 of the Stranger. He's got both his sabers out there, wearing the full smock robe, whatever you want to call it, poncho. He's got the Darth Grin helmet on, and it just looks great. Like this character, I love him. I love him. This is why I am sad that we can't have nice things in Star Wars anymore, because fans, they don't just critique stuff. They take it to a subhuman level and start going after people, creators, actors, actresses, and they start, it's not critiques, it's just racism, misogyny, that type of shit. So it is a shame that we're never going to see this character again, because he looks absolutely fantastic as captured by X-Wing Pilot 54 on Instagram. Up next, as young Nick likes to say, I know I don't quite deliver the top 5 like my co-host here, but we have a fantastic action scene captured by Mando mugshots, Mando_mugshots over on Instagram. I'm sorry, people. This feels like it's right out of the, I think it was the War of the Bounty Hunters run of comics a few years back, where it shows a little more behind the scenes of what Boba does with Han's carbonite casket after he leaves Bespin. And it's not as straightforward as you may have thought. I mean, let's just say Han Solo eventually ends up with Kira from the Solo movie, and she's trying to auction him off to the highest bidder. Yes, that's canon. But before it ends up there, and why this shot from Mando mugshots is so fucking rad, Boba literally does have to eject himself and Han in carbonite out of his spaceship or a spaceship and rides it into another ship safely. And that is what Mando mugshots is capturing here. It's a shot of Boba on top of Han in carbonite. The carbonite casket is sparking as he lands in a cargo hold or whatever. I don't know if it's on the Slave One. You can see an X-Wing in the background. It's just an awesome shot. And Mando, I don't know if you listen anymore, but it really does feel like this is an homage to the War of the Bounty Hunters when Boba Fett was out riding the Han and carbonite casket. Okay, so check them out, Mando_mugshots on Instagram. Up next, we have an absolutely stunning looking portrait from Optimus.crime with a K over on Instagram. This is a Hot Toy Mall, and it's a portrait, but it's up close and personal. This is the mall that has the rolling eyeballs, and Optimus Crime just styled them perfectly. It's as good as a portrait as you're going to get for Darth Maul. It perfectly captures this Sith Lord. I absolutely love it. This is what we sometimes call a wall hanger. 100%. This is just an absolutely fantastic close-up portrait from Optimus.crime over on Instagram. Check it out. I implore you to. Next up, here's a fun one from On Golden Panda Baba. All one word. Still one of my most favorite handles we've come across. Just like, People that come up with good handles, it's a talent. I've never had a good handle my entire life. I think the one I use in our Discord is Madiwan Heywobi. Terrible. It sounds like a fucking 5-year-old made it up. My first ever gamer tag, before gamer tags were a thing, was Jedi Baggins 1138. So clearly I struggle. Then I became Faux Hammer, then just Hammer, then Hammer of Buddha. I'm all over the fucking place. So anyways, kudos to people like On Golden Panda Baba for coming up with killer handles. But his shot here is of the lovers. We got Han and Leia. And what I like about this is that they're having a tender moment in the middle of chaos. As On Golden Panda Baba says in the caption, love in the time of war. And that's what it is. You kind of got Han caressing Leia's cheek, looking down at her. She's kind of turned away, almost like encouraging it, embracing it. She's holding her pistol, but behind them, you see stormtroopers getting blown up. It's just it's a magical moment between these two young lovers. Nothing like executing and blowing up stormtroopers and then sharing a tender moment with your loved one. So great work here from On Golden Panda Baba over on Instagram. And last but certainly not least, we've got a fun little shot from Jedi_Journal over on Instagram. And Jedi Journal... Oh, Bango, sorry. Sometimes I get caught up reading the live stream chat. Sorry, people. It's not professional broadcasting, but clearly you figured that out by now. Bango saying Jedi Baggins is great handle. I don't know. I caught a lot of shit for it back in my late teens and 20s when I had it. Like it just puts a sign on you like I'm a dork. Okay, I'm a nerd. I'm a geek. Hi. But Bango saying I've been Bango 31 since 7th grade. Used it for aim, Xbox, everything. Yeah, hey man, you got a good one. Bango 31, easy to remember, and it's something that people really can't rail on you for. You know what I mean? But anyways, back to our last top 5 for the week here. I dig this shot from Jedi Journal. It's a shot of Grievous standing on the carcass of a clone trooper. He's got 2 of his sabers out. There's some good looking explosion bokeh going on. But I think my favorite part here is Jedi Journal has been doing a series all month, every day here. This is actually day 16. But they're honoring Movember, which I believe is for prostate cancer awareness, stuff like that. And he's been putting mustaches on all of the Star Wars characters he's taken photos of. So in this shot, one of the reasons I like it, outside of it's just a good shot, I love, the explosions are great. But you got Grievous with a killer mustache. And they're like the evil villain mustache, the kinds that have wax on the tips to kind of curl them up. So seeing GG General Grievous with an old school villain type of mustache is awesome. So good work from Jedi Journal. And that'll do it, my friends. That'll do it. I feel like I've said too much, or maybe I've not said enough, but it's been close to an hour and a half. I have not stopped talking for the entire time straight. I feel like I'm in one of my lectures where it's very passive, and I'm talking so much that there's like white shit starting to foam at my mouth. So enough's enough. Enough's enough, my friends. Anyways, I appreciate those of you that joined me live here. If you didn't join me live, shame. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good. Hopefully at least watch the recorded version, and we're still providing some form of entertainment, information, news, speculation that warrants a watch or a listen week in and week out. It just has not been the same since Nick and I have kind of had to change our cadence and format, so I get it. I don't love it all the time these days either, as I'm sure some of the fans don't love me being by myself or the pre-recorded formats, but it is what it is. Until Nick gets another job or promoted or doesn't have to go to an office, this is how the Star Wars Time Show is going to be. We'll see what happens in 26. But as always, love all you people. Speak your names that tune into this clusterfuck each week, because it really is. You never know what sort of tech's going to fail. You never know if the mics are going to be working or if someone's going to sound like a goddamn protocol droid for 45 minutes straight. but this is where we're at. This is where we're at. So, hey, there's always time for Star Wars time. Don't you forget it. Get out there. I hate begging you guys all the time to stump for us, but there's nothing I can do at this point in time on my own to bring new people in. Algorithm has us completely buried, so I got to rely on meatbags to actually take their device, stick it in someone's face, and say, "See this shit? You should check it out." Star Wars time. There's always time for it. And don't forget, your closer here is if these people watch or listen to the Star Wars Time Show. The Force will be with them, and you, of course, always.